We've been told. Steve and I are working on new material.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
We've heard of Morecambe and Wise.
Yeah, there was always one funny one and one that wasn't so funny.
That wasn't nice, was it? That wasn't nice. That was below, wasn't it? That was below. Yeah.
No, you weren't funny, was it?
I'm not quite sure what was below.
Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. We're just about to start. Everyone's totally ignoring me. We're waiting, Julian. If I could ask my musicians in crime, Alison Raymond and Susan Alexander and Linda Birmingham, to join me on stage. Haven't done anything yet. So it's lovely. Video on? Fantastic. It's lovely to see you all here tonight. Thank you so much for coming. This is Bottle Folk, as you know. We've had 5 or 6 really great floor singers so far. The main thrust of this evening, though, is to publicise the release or re-release of an album I first issued in 1973 called Unsung Lies. And this evening we'll be playing you some music from that album and also telling you the story of that album as well. So, the Unsung Lies album was released in 1973, which, believe it or not, was 47 years ago. I know. And looking around the room, I guess most of you weren't alive in 1973. So, I'd like to remind you what was going on in 1973. On the 1st of January, here's a good one, the United Kingdom, the Republic of Ireland and Denmark entered the European Economic Community. Hooray! So how appropriate it is we find ourselves tonight here when we've just left it. On the 1st of March in 1973, a band called Pink Floyd released an album called The Dark Side of the Moon. Hooray! On the 17th of March, Elizabeth II opened the new London Bridge. Ooh. We sold the old one to the Americans, didn't we? Yeah. Who understands thought they were getting Tower Bridge.
That's right.
And on the 26th of March 1973, women were admitted to the London Stock Exchange for the first time.
Yes!
On the 1st of April, a very appropriate date, value added tax, VAT, came into effect in the UK. On the 6th of July 1973, the James Bond film Live and Let Die was released in British cinemas, with the spy being played by the 45-year-old Roger Moore. On the 12th of November, the television sitcom Last of the Summer Wine began its first series run on BBC One. Do you know it's still playing today? Last of the Summer Wine. On the 5th of December 1973, the speed limit on motorways was reduced to 50 miles an hour from 70 miles an hour until further notice because of the oil crisis.
That'll be back.
On the 31st of December, as a result of coal shortages caused by industrial action, the 3-day week came into force at midnight. All these things happened in 1973. Also, Pizza Hut opened its first UK restaurant in Islington in London. And the vinyl album Unsung Lies was released. Tonight we bring you the story of that album, Unsung Lies. And I have on stage with me some of my best friends, Alison Raymond, Linda Birmingham, Susan Alexander, and together we are folk singers. I'll start with a story, or maybe a joke, a pun, a one-liner, or some anecdote. Then I'll start singing, each note, word and pause. I'm a folk singer, here comes the chorus. We I may stumble and forget the words to songs I have written or songs I have heard. Sometimes I sing slowly, sometimes I sing fast, never a verse to a rousing chorus. We are folk singers, we sing you the songs. If you know the chorus, you can sing along. We are folk singers, we sing you the songs. If we don't keep singing, the songs will be gone. I might play a guitar or a mandolin, a keyboard, a dulcimer, or a violin. I might play a squeeze box or accordion. Have you finished? I may sing along till the chorus begins. We are folk singers, we sing you the songs. If you know the chorus, you can sing along. We are folk singers, we sing you the songs. If we don't keep singing, the songs will be gone. I don't play pop music or that gangster rap, and country and western can leave me quite flat. But give me a folk song and I will sing that. I'm a folk singer, I may wear a hat. We are folk singers, we sing you the songs. If you know the chorus, you can sing along. We are folk singers, we sing you the songs. If we don't keep singing, the songs will be gone. Folk songs can be modern or from long ago. Some are brand new and some you will know. Songs can be happy or creep your skin. I'm a folk singer, last chorus begins. We are folk singers, we sing you the songs. If you know the chorus, you can sing along. We are folk singers, we sing you the songs. If we don't keep singing, the songs will be gone. We are folk singers, we sing you the songs. If we don't keep singing, the songs will be gone. Thank you very much. As you might suppose, that's called folk singers. So, the beginnings of the Unsung Lies album, my relationship with live music started in the early 1960s when my parents sent me to learn the piano. I stopped going to piano lessons when they clashed with Batman on the television. That's true, actually, that's true. In 1968 I bought my first guitar from Hammond's of Watford, which cost me £20, which was an awful lot of money in 1968. And I've still got it. And I began a musical journey which I'm still on today. I began to play live and write songs almost immediately. The first song I wrote hasn't survived, but I do remember it was awful. Absolutely awful. I mixed with other musicians, of course, because that's what you do. And I remember that the pinnacle of perceived success in those days was to get yourself a recording contract. Some contracts came with an advance money, which of course was repayable to the company concerned. The major record companies of the day, and there were really about 20 of them, had talent scouts whose job it was to seek out people at gigs and to sign them up and to make them famous. Remember, in those days there was no digital recording. To release a record you really needed the professional resources of a national company, and they had producers and recording studios and the right equipment and access to pressing plants and things like that. And of course they also had the marketing and promotion to sell the album either nationally or internationally afterwards. Were these people interested in performers like me? No. No. They weren't. I played around the folk clubs, and there were many more of them now than there are now. Watford, believe it or not, had 4 or 5 folk clubs. Even the Department of Employment Social Club in Orphanage Road had a folk club. And there were 4 or 5 others in the town as well. So that's how things were for me in 1973. So now we're going to play you one of the bonus tracks from the album, and in choosing the bonus tracks from the album, I've tried to choose those which sort of fitted in with those songs that I was writing 47 years ago. This is a song called The Flash of Her Disguise, and people often say to me, Julian, they say, what's that song about? And my answer is always the same. It's about 3 minutes.
Transparent lady, we can see right through. Eyes flashing green, amber red in the night, and we've all seen that too. Listening to ballads, hearing tuneless songs, wondering why the music sounds so wrong. Once so many answers to questions she won't ask, wearing makeup thin but like a mask, looking right through you, the madness in her eyes is only a spark in the flash of her disguise. Sometimes she moves the quicksand, she's being dragged down slow. Sometimes she walks on water, but she doesn't know. They're still playing her music, I'm watching her eyes for the spark in the flash of her disguise. Thank you. It's called The Flash of Her Disguise. So in 1973, I decided to record and independently release a vinyl album of some of my own songs. I'd heard of some bands releasing vinyl singles, but I didn't know anyone who'd actually released their own album. I used, here it gets very nerdy, I used the Mackay 1720L open reel tape recorder and 2 microphones. Multi-tracking was not available. Asked some of my friends to help out on some of the tracks by playing other instruments. I sang and played a 6-string nylon guitar and a 12-string steel strum guitar, and sung obviously. Took quite a few takes, as you can imagine, to get it right, and to get the microphones in the right positions to pick up all the instruments and the singing. Afterwards, I edited the master tape with a razor blade and some splicing tape. Because that's all you could do. In those days, that's all you could do. I sent the master tape off to a firm called D-Roy, who was one of only 2 pressing plants in this country who did short-run vinyl records. A few weeks later, a test pressing came back, and I've got it with me tonight.
Whoa.
There it is. Don't take any notice of the colour, I just kind of mocked that up. But this is the test pressing, the acetate that came back from D-Roy, of all those tracks that I've recorded. And I excitedly rushed upstairs in the family home, put it on my dance set, turned up the volume, lifted the pickup arm onto the record and listened. It sounded terrible. Oh my God, it sounded terrible. So, I decided to start again, and I did it all again. Oh no. Another track, another bonus track on the Unsung Lies album, the re-release, is a track called Seagulls, and we're going to play that for you now. And this came, interestingly, out of a walk. I live near St Albans now, and I went for a walk one day, and I saw all these birds in the field doing what birds do in the field, and amongst them were a few seagulls. And I remember thinking to myself, what are you guys doing here? You know, 60 miles from the sea. What on earth are you doing here in St Albans? And then I thought to myself, what if these seagulls turned to me and said, well, what are you doing here? And I realised I really didn't have a good answer for them at all. So I came home and I wrote this song, which is called Seagulls. I saw some seagulls in a field, 60 miles inland. Why they were so far from the coast, I couldn't understand. Soaring, swooping, calling out the way that seagulls do. One landed, looked my way, and then off again she flew. Dipping one toe in the oceans, not the same as putting to sea. I've never known much about seagulls, and they don't know about me. The other birds they kept clear, 60 miles inland, like they knew that was best to do, with seagulls close at hand. I've never been a sea captain or served in the Queen's Navy. I've never been part of a captain's crew singing sea shanties. Dipping one toe in the oceans, not the same as putting to sea. I've never been much of a servant, and they don't know about me. I've never heard the ocean's anger, never felt the storm, and I've never sailed the 7 seas since the day that I was born. Sailing ships on long sea trips out of sight of land, and seagulls 60 miles from the coast I'll never understand. Dipping one toe in the oceans, not the same as putting to sea. I've never known much about seagulls, and they don't know about me. seagulls fly quite so far inland, a choir singing seagull songs far from the sea and sand, soaring, swooping, calling out the way the seagulls do. It's a lie to sigh that seagulls cry when they sing sea songs to you. Dipping one toe in the ocean's not the same as putting to sea. I've never known much about seagulls, and they don't know about me. Dipping one toe in the ocean's not the same as putting to sea. I've never known much about seagulls, sailing ships or people. I've never known much about seagulls, and they don't know about me. Thank you, seagulls.
Yeah.
So for the second recording of the album, I used a Report open reel tape recorder, which was mono and only had one microphone, but the sound quality was much better. I tried to get all the same friends back to help again, but some of them couldn't come. And I recorded all of the songs again, edited the master tape and sent it off to the pressing plant. Then there was a long wait. There was a worldwide shortage of vinyl granules in 1973, and it was those that were used to make vinyl records. And there was nothing anyone could do to speed up the process or the production of the records. As you can imagine, all this cost an incredible amount of money. I was earning around £15 a week at the time, and I had quite a good job. And I had to ask for money in advance from all the friends who said they'd buy a copy of the album in order to fund it. I suppose it was a very early example of crowdfunding, before it was actually called crowdfunding. Eventually the records arrived, and thank heavens this time they sounded good. And here is one. Yes, there we are. That's it. That's the other side. And there is actually one in there.
Can we bid for it now?
No, I've just noticed there's a dedication to my ex-wife on the top, actually. Probably shouldn't have taken that when we got divorced. Didn't think. I couldn't afford a professional sleeve design, so another friend did two black and white drawings, as you've seen, for the front and back of the album. And I couldn't afford to have the sleeve professionally printed. So I had the two drawings reduced inside and photocopied. Now in 1973, photocopiers were high tech. Wow, photocopiers. It was amazing. You could put something in one end and get a copy out the other end. Incredible. I mean, we take it for granted now. So in 1973, photocopiers were new and high tech, and a photocopy machine was a huge thing which took up most of the space in a small shop. Yeah. I pasted the copies of the drawing onto the white sleeves which the record was delivered in. I designed the record label myself and pasted those on by hand too. A lot of paste involved. I do remember actually one funny story was I pasted the labels onto the record and I pasted right across the hole in the middle of the record, which was fine. People could punch their own hole, that wasn't a problem. But of course, once they put the record on their record player, all the paste would kind of ooze out, and it would stick on their roll. I had lots of calls from people, come and get this record off my record player. It's stuck. Remember that very clearly. Yeah. Oh, let's just change that. Oh, no, it's not. Hang on. Sorry, well spotted. That's it. So here's another one of the bonus tracks from the album, copies of which are available tonight. he said. And this one's got an interesting history. This is called Hypnotist. And I was on a training course once. It was one of these deep kind of encounter style training courses where one went to examine one's inner being and stuff. And I think it was down in Bournemouth or Eastbourne or somewhere, nowhere particularly exotic. And it was run by a guy who was a psychotherapist and a woman called Brenda who was a psychiatrist. And Brenda was a psychiatrist in New York City, where arguably everybody's crazy anyway, so she was quite busy. But she took time out to come across and run this course, and I was one of the trainees on it, and she was one of the tutors. All that was fine until one morning when I was coming down to breakfast in this hotel. I got into the lift and we came down one floor, the doors opened and Brenda got on. Now, you know, you don't want to be stuck in a lift with a psychiatrist, but that's exactly what happened. We went down another floor and the lift shuddered to a halt. All the lights went out and we were stuck there for the next 70 minutes. During which time Brenda thought she'd practice her psychiatrist skills. I've never forgotten that. And so everyone else could share in my misery, I wrote this song dedicated to Brenda, which is called Hypnotist. I'm looking into my psychiatrist's eyes, and she can see right through my disguise. Looking deep into my psychiatrist's eyes, watching her look right back into mine. Because I'm under her microscope gaze again. She's looking at me, and I'm looking like some kind of fool. One way forward, stretching away before us. Many ways back, but all out of reach, far behind. Going in, going out of the various doors in the hallways of my head. Going in, going out, going in, going out, going in, going out, going in, going out of my mind. hypnotist. So in the 1970s, I was playing at a lot of folk clubs, and like I say, there were loads of them around. I carried around a cardboard box full of these Unsung Lies records, and would occasionally sell one or two at each gig. It was quite unusual for someone like me to have a record for sale, and I think a lot of people like that. Particularly someone who didn't have a record contract. Private release records were nowhere near as common as they are now. I mean, it's so easy to release your own CD these days. A lot easier to record it as well. And it's quite difficult to find a private released album from someone like me from before 1973. Eventually supplies of the album ran out, as you can imagine. In the future I would release more albums on tape cassette and then on CD, but this was still 1973. And in the coming years, people would tell me that they found a copy of my album in the bargain bin in Watford Market, or other places like that, which I was quite impressed with actually at the time. In 2012, 39 years after the release of the Unsung Lies album, I began to notice something which would lead directly to why we're here tonight. Original copies of the album were being sold on eBay for fantastic amounts of money. Sadly, and obviously I didn't get to see any of that money, but people were selling them. And the first one I noticed sold on the 19th of February 2012 for £741.28. That's amazing, I thought. Good grief. It must be record collectors. It must be record collectors buying and selling stuff that they think is very, very rare. The £1,000 price barrier was broken on the 7th of June 2013 when one sold for £1,048. And on the 2nd of February 2019, a copy of the album sold for a record £1,250. Now the interesting thing is, I've had these re-releases on sale for a couple of weeks, promoted through my website, and someone emailed me and said he'd like 2 copies, and he lived in Italy. And he said, I was the person who paid £1,250. Yeah. And ever since the eBay sales started, I've been receiving emails from people. I think I've had about 190 now, asking me to re-release the album. So that's what I've done. And I hope people like it. And if they don't, I'm still re-releasing it. Interestingly, one of the songs on the album, in fact the first song on the original vinyl album, was a song called My Friend. And it's still the first song on the vinyl album, but I thought it'd be rather nice to re-release it, or rewrite it as it were, and put it on the end of the album. So the re-release of the album actually begins and ends with this song. It begins with the 1973 version, and it ends with the 2020 version. This is called My Friend. This is about someone I used to know. It's completely true. And the new version of this song gives more detail, really. Are we ready? Fantastic. Painted rainbows, just as the sun rose after the dawn. My friend once sang me love songs all day and night long. Some years ago, when her words were full of colours, her thoughts were always blue. I often joked that she could sing for hours never loved anyone but you. My friend once made me smile with her strange style, unlike my own. My friend danced every morning, found me quite boring, I still suppose. When her words were full of colours, her thoughts were always blue. I often joked that she seemed to smell of flowers, and she said she'd never loved anyone but you. My friend always believed in me, lived life so easily when I lived it hard. My friend told me she'd be here, but later that year I heard she'd gone. When her words were full of colours, her thoughts were always blue. I often joked that she was getting louder, and she said she never loved anyone but you. Left me the night. My friend died one night so quietly, nobody heard her becoming free. When her words were full of colours, Thank you. Alison Raymond and Susan Alexander and Linda at Birmingham really make a big difference to that track, so thank you to them. So here's some quotes and reviews of the Unsung Lies album. This is the original album. It was voted the 915th best album of 1973. Yeah, I know. That was on rateyourmusic.com. Poppsych.com said, it's an ultra-rare UK private press, features in Hans Pekara's 4001 Record Collector Dreams book with a massive 5 stars on the rarity scale. It also gets the coveted symbol of musical excellence. Never heard of Hans Pekara, but he was obviously a good guy if he said that. It's full of great tunes, sensitively delivered, a real collector's item, said, let's make this famous.com. If you Google for Unsung Lies, it's an amazing load of crap comes up. I mean, there's pages and pages of it. Unsung Lies consists of beautiful artsy folk pop characterised by simple use of just an acoustic guitar and vocals. No drum, bass, keyboards or electric guitars were involved in the making of this album. That was from Let's Make This Famous.com again. Here's a good one from discunion.net. UK acid folk from 1973. Now here's one I'm really proud of. See if you get what this is about. This is from unknownalbums.com. It says, released the same year as DSOTM, personally I prefer Unsung Lies. Ooh. DSOTM. Dark Side of the Moon. Yeah. Only cost me 100, that did. No, I'm kidding. This album is a wonderful document of melodic material married to deep and heartfelt lyrics delivered with great gravitas and conviction. Shindig magazine. And someone recently, in fact, said, this album shows the colours of Julian Mount that lie beneath his mostly quirky present-day songs and performance. This young man presents his heart and storytelling and divine musicianship and voice. How lucky we are that this album is still out there. Someone called Sylvia Birch, isn't that lovely? Yeah. And a final quote from Julian Mount in 2020. I really can't understand what all the fuss is about, right? So, we come to our last song this evening, and this is one that's not on the album, but we thought we'd end with this. It's a lot of fun.
Can I just say something?
No, it's not time.
No,
go on.
Something else that was going on in 1973 was Julian and I were going to the same folk club, but we didn't know each other.
That's true, actually. Yeah. We used to go to the Oval Folk Club in Hendon, or near Hendon, and I used to go every Friday. And
so did I.
Yeah, but we never did.
I was usually drunk.
We know we were there at the same time because we saw the same people. People like Jake Thacker and Decameron and Chris Rowland and Magna Carta and all kinds of people like that. Yeah. Anyway, we'll end with this song. Thank you so much for coming. It's really, it meant a lot to me that you've all turned up. I've got something else to say after this one, so we'll just get on with it. This song is well, I like to describe this song as a mashup of 3 seaside shanties.
To be beside the seaside, I do like to be beside the sea. Oh, I do like to stroll along the prom, where the brass bands play jiggly-om, pom, 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 pom. So just let me be beside the seaside, I've been beside myself with glee. And there's a special girl beside, I should like to be beside the seaside, she sings to me.
I want to marry a lighthouse keeper and keep him company. I want to marry a lighthouse keeper and live by the side of the sea. I polish this love by the light of day, so ships at night can find their way. I want to marry a
be. Let's avoid the rods of matrimony. I'd never marry a lighthouse keeper, even if she'd marry me.
We could take a walk along the moonlit bay, maybe find some treasure too. I'd love living in the lighthouse. How about you?
Well, how could we walk along the moonlit bay when the lighthouse bright so bright?
Maybe.
We'd hate living in a lighthouse.
Look how young Rod. I dream of living in a lighthouse, baby, every single day. I dream of living in a lighthouse, the white flag by the bay. So if you want to make my dreams come true, go be a lighthouse keeper too. Because living in a lighthouse, then we'd be okay.
My nightmare's living in a lighthouse, baby, every single day. Written stairs would take all year, with no time left to play. So if you want to make my dreams come true, resign from the lighthouse keeper's crew. Make the lighthouse goes automatic soon, then we'll be okay. Oh, I do like to be beside the seaside. I do like to be beside the sea.
Not anymore, I don't.
But I'd much rather stay in a hotel by the bay than in a lighthouse with you beside.
I quite fancy a narrowboat on the canal. It's still water, isn't it?
Thank you. So here we are in the year 2020. I find myself being a singer, musician and songwriter. I don't in general write love songs. I don't in general write good time music. I don't in general write comedy songs. Mostly I write songs about people, who they are, what they do and what happens to them, and I try in each song to document something about their lives, something about what happens to them. I write my songs from a quirky perspective. This is a conscious choice, and I choose to do this not because it's easy, but because it's hard. I've not always been, as you see me now, the original songs on the Unsung Lies album. I'm not like the songs I write today, and I can hear you thinking, so what were they like then? Well, there's only one way to find out. Copies of the Unsung Lies remastered CD are available for £10 this evening.
I got mine.
Some people have got one already, actually. And a project like this, which has literally taken 47 years to come to fruition, doesn't happen by itself. So many people have helped me. So I'd like to thank, first of all, Alison Raymond, Linda Birmingham and Susan Alexander for this evening. And for all the rehearsals and putting up with my prima donna-ish type attitude. I'd like to thank Trevor Bailey, who's at the back there, for doing the original remaster of the Unsung Lies album. He did an amazing job. He got rid of all the crackles, the pops, the hums, everything. So a big round of applause for Trevor. I'd like to thank Stephen Lenman, who I've seen has crept in at the back, for helping to record the 4 bonus tracks and for helping me with the artwork on the new CD. A big round of applause. And Stephen, of course, had to do further mastering on the original tracks to make sure they match the new tracks. I don't think he's ever had a job like working with Julian Mount. He probably dreads the time when I ring him up and say, I want to make another album. Also, of course, I need to thank Keith White for the amazing sound this evening. I'd like to thank Steve McClennon for giving up his time this evening to come and play for us and to do a video for YouTube. Thank you, Steve. But most of all, I need to thank you lot, because without you lot, tonight wouldn't have happened. And I'm very grateful for all of the people in this room, the support you give me, for the interest you show in my music, and long may that continue. This has been the story of Unsung Lies. My name's Julian Mount.
Oh, that's kind of you. How spontaneous and unexpected. Some of you may have noticed that I'm wearing a hat. I bought my hat at the county show from a man in a marquee I didn't know. Price right to goodbye, so hello. What do you think of my hat? I can't take it off cause Right, I'm going to get off stage very rapidly. We've still got some more floor singers to come, so don't leave yet. And the first of those is Trevor Thomas, I think. So we'll just get him up on stage and set up, and I'll ask you to give him a very welcome. Don't forget you can buy copies of the Unsung Lies CD from Linda on the merchandising table. They're just £10 each.
They are very good value, being 1% of the original cost.